Hello, welcome to everyone for Tea with TPS, informal conversations with thought leaders of India and the world. Today, our distinguished guest is Alphonse Kannanthanam, a very well-known bureaucrat in his early days and later in politics, and eventually became a Minister of State independent charge at the center. So he is exceptional in many ways. First of all, he was an exceptionally good bureaucrat who worked very well, very practical, idealistic, sometimes fanatic, but he was able to get things done, and that was his reputation. Every bureaucrat dreams, or at least thinks for a while, that it would be good to enter politics, because you're constantly faced with a situation where you deal with people who may not come to your level in terms of intellectual or educational abilities, and you have to listen to them. So with the background that you have of education, administrative training, etc., and a political support, individuals can do better, is the presumption. But most people don't take that choice because it has its own inherent dangers. If every bureaucrat knew that he would become a Minister of State for tourism, we would have all joined politics. But there is many a slip between the cup and the lip, and many people withdraw. But at the same time, there are many who take that plunge. Some have done extremely well, some have done fairly well, and some have been completely destroyed by the political experience. I would say you come in the modest or moderate success as a politician, having gone from bureaucracy. What are the differences? What is the real difference? What are the benefits and disadvantages of a bureaucrat as well as a politician in terms of what you can do for the country?
Thank you, sir. I'm so privileged to be on your Tea with TPS program. I mean, your very distinguished people have gone before me, have appeared on your program. And so before I start, actually, let me ask you a question before you question me. How come you have so much energy at your age? I know your age, that's what I'm telling you. I mean, you are involved with IAS Academy, many academies, you deliver lectures to some other academies, you're doing so much of philanthropy, public good, you write books, you write articles. How do you really cope up, and you're so cool? One can call you anytime. How do you do all this, sir?
Just thank my stars. I'm also a professor in two universities, Kasargod as well as Somaya University in Mumbai, International Relations Department. But my idea is to keep going. That is the only way to keep alive. Because once you feel that you retire, then that is the end of your life. But when I know, if anybody tells you that you look as young as before, then I know that I'm old. Because when I was young, nobody told me you are young. so this is life. And the idea is to go as much as you can with whatever energy has in you. And that is the only way you can justify your continued existence in a way.
And you, sir, you're doing such an amazing works, and you really radiate goodness. I think that's all the more important. So having known you for so many years, you really radiate goodness. So that's such an exception in the society. So keep up this great work, sir. Now,
Yeah,
coming
but
to your question, sir.
Why you are in the 102nd episode and not in the second or third? Because at that time you were a politician serving the parliament. I have not been inviting too many politicians. In the beginning we did, some of my friends who are in politics. But then I decided that those who are in active politics, member of parliament, so I was waiting for you to retire from parliament. That is the secret.
Sir,
I know you have so much material to give us. You're an interesting person. So I thought about you many times. But this is the first opportunity I took as soon as you left the Rajya Sabha.
Sir, I really enjoyed bureaucracy. And I keep telling myself, if there is a rebirth for the next 13 births, I would only get into the IAS. But of course, every time I will resign because, I'm a bit of a maverick, as you said. So, so every time I will resign. every time I will resign and, of course, get back into the bureaucracy, the dashboard. A lot of bureaucrats keeps blaming politicians, the system. They keep saying the system doesn't permit me to do it. The system permits me to do everything. I've done everything that I really wanted. I don't think there is any job in which I thought I wanted to do something and I couldn't do it. I think the Indian all Indian services, the IAS, the IFS, every other service. I think if we really want to do it, I think the system gives us so much of authority and the power. And for me, authority and power means the power to bring happiness on the face of people. To me, that is authority, not the police salutes, not the red light, not the flashing light, not the big bungalows. To me, it was the ability to bring happiness on the face of people. And I found every job in the IAS gave me great opportunity. Of course, if
But
one
it
is
is
just
that the IAS officers have their own limitations in a democracy, and the power is not really in your hands. That feeling did you get? Is that the reason why you thought a political career would fulfill your ambitions to serve the people?
not really, sir. I think I've done, take for example, when I was district collector, I think I've just, of Kottayam, it's my home district, where it's an unusual posting to be posted in one's home district, which I told the chief minister I shouldn't be, but then he posted me. And I think I've written only 3 DO letters to the government in the course of about close to 4 years when I was the collector. The collector is empowered to do things. He doesn't really have to consult people. When I was commissioner DDS, sir, I mean, I was demolishing mainly the ruling party's buildings. We knocked down, me and my 35,000 employees, we knocked down 14,310 illegal mansions in Delhi. I never demolished slums because where will they go? I never had an interference at all, not one. The first building I demolished belonged to the PCC president, the former Union Minister H.K.L. Bhagat, who was extremely powerful man. The size of the building was 200,000 square feet, 2 lakh
He
square
was
feet.
demolishing homes of the poor.
Sir, no, I never demolished homes of the poor. I think one of my predecessors, Mr. Jagmohan, did that. I said, where will the poor go? So basically, I concentrated on the rich and the powerful. So when I became Commissioner DDA, I was the first South Indian Commissioner to become Commissioner DDA. And they said, no, this is Madrasi, first South Indian. So this Madrasi can't do anything. I said, let me see. So then I said, let's prepare a list of encroachments. I mean, DDA owns about 1,25,000 acres of land in Delhi, and a huge percentage was under encroachment. When we took the list, we found more than 10,000 acres was under encroachment. And first, sir, in the list was about 10 politicians. The first 10, the biggest encroachers were politicians. Number one on the list was H.K.L. Bhagat. And I called my senior officers and said, this is my target, who is on number one. He said, sir, he burned alive 5,006 in 1984 after Indira Gandhi's assassination. You will be burned alive. I said, let's see. So this is where I'm a bit of a maverick. The belief that you can just do it. So then, of course, I got all my people, and it's big preparation. I can't really be going with 2 bulldozers and 10 policemen, 100 policemen to demolish a building which is 200,000 square feet, belonging to the biggest mafia leader of India. So we had 10,000 policemen on trucks, 25 bulldozers, and me and my Great Dane. So a bit of drama is also necessary sometimes in your job. So me and my dog, me in a Clint Eastwood Stetson hat, my gun on my hips, and the boots. I was in an open jeep with my dog, which was about 4 feet tall. So when we reached Model Town at about 5 o'clock, people started running away. They thought Pakistan invaded India. So we said, "Don't you worry, no, this is India itself." So over the next 36 hours, we reduced this 200,000 square feet into dust. And of course, next day it was all over the newspapers. The demolition man comes to Delhi. So we developed such a confidence in my people, in my officers. If I said go and demolish the Rashtrapati Bhavan, they would do it. I mean, they developed such confidence eventually, they could really take on the biggest mafia. In fact, they didn't need me at all.
The purpose only legality, or you had in mind use that place for something? What was the main motive?
So there are two things. You see, one is I believe that the only way to enforce the law because of the judicial interventions that can happen is to demolish a building. Because if I say I am saying I want to use this for some other purpose, they will go to a municipal court and start a litigation which will last for the next 50 years. And then some encroachers have to be taught a lesson. We should have a situation in which people fear. they should believe that not 1 inch of land can be encroached and we can't get away through a delaying process of anything. So I thought the best visible way to do it was really to threaten people and say, don't touch my land, don't break the law, we will demolish you. So I think so that message was very clear. And I can very humbly say in 5 years, when I was a commissioner DDA, not 1 inch of land in Delhi was encroached, not one unauthorized construction.
But since then, many must have come up.
Pardon, sir?
Since then, many buildings, illegal buildings must have come up, don't you think?
Lots, plenty has come up after that. So take, for example, Butler House, which you would know personally, Butler House. When I planned to demolish that place, there were only about 5,000 people. And the day I had made all the preparations, everything was ready. There were 2 cases in which there was interference from the top. They just called the fire. Interference is very simple. Not telling me to do anything. No, they don't do that. Nobody ever called me. The day before the demolitions, 2 files were called by the Prime Minister's office and said, we just want to have a look at, we'll return it tomorrow morning. One was Butler House. There were only 5,000 people in Butler House then. They called the file at night, didn't return it next day. I couldn't demolish. So today you have 500,000 people in Butler House. And that 500,000 people, most of them are anti-India. All kinds of illegal activities happen there. You have gun running, you have drug abusers. They are building on the Yamuna riverfront. So there were just a couple of interference like that. But otherwise, we managed to do without any interference at all.
What is that building now? Has it been used? Or it is again
no,
gone
so
back?
Butler House is a large area. This is just behind New Friends Colony on the riverfront. So we have thousands of buildings have come up and 500,000 people live in that place. 500,000. So, but the other buildings which are demolished, 14,310, those we just knocked down, reduce it to dust. And that is, we should have a whole lot of people coming to see it. It was, I always got a nice feeling whenever I see a nice new big building, where do I put my bulldozer? That 5 years, this was my entire thinking process. Anywhere I see a new building,
No, but our latest memory is of this demolition of those apartment buildings in Kochi, very dramatic and so on.
Yes,
but
yes.
Even today, people do not believe that it should have been done. It was a national loss in many ways. I know they violated some law or the other, but demolishing such facilities in which people were living happily does not leave a good impression. And you may be doing that, but the impact it makes on the society, even those, looking at it, I felt sad that this was happening. Whatever may be the background, whatever, they may have been cheated, they may have been paid money, all this. So demolition is always something negative. But what happened to your career in that sense? Were you punished for it? Were you transferred out?
No, sir. No. I completed my tenure of 5 years. See, I have a little different view on this. Cochin was a different case in which they got all the municipal sanctions and all the sanctions from the panchayat authorities. So you really can't blame the landowner in some way, or even of the apartment owners at all.
Tenants were absolutely innocent of all this.
I think that the residents were the buyers were absolutely innocent, but that was not the case in Delhi. Delhi, they were encroaching on government land, 10,000 acres of my government land, building and selling off it in a few months' time and leaving. So this was a plain robbery which was happening. And I said, the best thing to do is just demolish, because I don't want to have stay and fight them in the court for the next 50 years. These buildings will continue, their trade will continue, encroachment will continue. So to me, sir, at that point of time, I had no option but teach Delhi. Delhi is not like Kerala. Delhi people violate the law. There is so much of criminality. In Kerala, people encroaching on government land would be extremely rare. But here, of course, it was happening as a matter of law. Just walking onto the land, building in connivance with the DD officials, the municipal authorities. So I had only one way to do it, and that was to create the fear of God into people, saying, "Do not touch my land." That purpose was served at that point of time. So my successors didn't do it. My predecessors didn't do it, but so they all had the same power as me. So that reiterates my view, sir, that if an official wants to do anything he wants to, he has the power to do it. Of course,
sky is the limit.
Yes, sir. And of course, we had to pay the price for it. My children and my wife went to school and for shopping and the police protection. I carried a gun for 24 hours. Still, my wife was beaten up badly, left for dead in a pool of blood, but she survived with a lot of stitches. And then after that, she became a social worker. So there are also benefits. Sometimes when you get beaten up, you also suddenly, wake up and say, hey, what is my role in this world? My children got beaten up. So, sir, it was very exciting life, I mean,
So you still consider it an achievement, personal achievement of yours. You have no regrets.
sir, it's a personal achievement, sir, but it is something, why I'm speaking about it is something that, sir, which any IAS officer or any all India office, service officer can replicate. See, everything that I did, sir, my feeling is everything that I did, anybody else can replicate. You just need to have the will to do it. That's all. Whether it was making Kottayam 100% literate or making rainwater into a huge movement when I was land use commissioner, or declaring the results of the examination, entrance examination. It used to take 3 months for the results to be declared. I declared on the seventh day. Sir, all these things are, any officer can do it. Just the will to do it is necessary. And in all these things, sir, there is really rarely any political interference at all. So if you are known to be a person who is business-like, who does not tolerate interference, sir, no politician interferes. That is my view.
No, but you took voluntary retirement, didn't you? You didn't
So yeah,
complete it.
when I was 52, I was a batch topper. So I would obviously have become the chief secretary. Most probably, of course, that is a choice which the
No.
government had to make at some point of time.
Suppose
So
you
I
were
quit at 52. I
become
quit
a
at
chief
52.
secretary, you may have done even better things. So why
Uh,
is it at that point in time you felt that you needed to leave and join politics?
Sir, I believe we live just once. We live just once, and I want to basically experiment with everything. What it is to be out there doing political work, becoming an MLA, maybe later whatever destiny has for you. Because when I was about to quit for the IAS, it was actually happened during a car ride from Ernakulam to my hometown Manimala. My cousin was giving a lift to me, and then he said when he started the journey, election is coming. Why don't you contest? I said, don't be crazy, yeah. I'm land revenue commissioner of Kerala. I'm in a powerful job, and I will definitely become chief secretary. And I'm a very happy person in the civil service. But by the time we reached my village in 3 hours, he convinced me that it's good. Yes. So
No,
I
that's what
put
I
in
was
my
driving at.
papers. I put in my papers 2 days later. I asked my wife. She says, "No way. We have no money. We have no nothing. So how can you? And you will get your pension, but then that's just not enough to bring up 2 kids and for everything else." So, but against her objection, I quit, and Mr. Umachandi, the chief minister, was gracious enough to accept my resignation in 3 days. He could actually have kept it, dragged it on for the next 3 months, sending it to the center and all that. He was very gracious, even though he knew that I was going to be an opposition candidate. So I contested in Kanjanapalli as an independent candidate, and on the
Support.
32nd day, I won as an independent with a very large majority of about 12,500 votes. And very little money was spent. I spent only about 9 lakh rupees from my money. Of course, the left was supporting me, even though I didn't join the Communist Party or any of these parties. And they gave the entire manpower, worked very, very sincerely. And on 32nd day, I won with a huge majority. And of course, I had a great advantage why I was able to become an MLA from there, because I'm from Kanjanapalli. My wife is from Kottayam district. I was a district collector here for close to 4 years. So, and I was always with the people. So, and we had done a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But there are all these chances. You never know whether you will win the election. And one of the considerations that I had in mind was the money element. Many people will give you a lot of money when you contest elections. And I know I was involved in the first Shashi Tharoor campaign. And I saw money being spent by many people, expecting that, you get something out of him. And he accepted them without any conditions or anything like that. But then what happens to you? Because all these people expect and you are not able to deliver. Then how do you satisfy your conscience? That was the consideration that I had in mind. Because if you do that, you are either to be poor and bankrupt, or you have to be corrupt. Because the amount of money that you have to spend, 9 lakhs is nothing. 34 crores, 32 crores they spent, some from the party. So therefore, there is an element of built-in corruption in politics.
Sir, I had the great advantage of having the entire left machinery working free, completely free. So not 1 rupee had to be paid even for their meals. We didn't have to pay, except on the election day. Those who are manning the booths had to be paid for their lunch with very little money. I mean, the minimum money. Otherwise, we had to pay nobody. They worked hard. If when I was campaigning, I would travel at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would see people, putting up posters and all this stuff. So that one can't quantify the value of that. In actual terms of money, sir, I've taken, I think some contribution came from our Trivandrum, friends. I don't want to name them. So, 5, 6 of them put together about 2 lakhs of rupees and gave me, the Trivandrum, our good friends put together about 2 lakhs and gave it to me. Otherwise, sir, I didn't take contribution from anybody because I didn't want to be obliged to anybody actually. So I had got a great amount of money when I retired, about something like 40 lakhs I got, 45 lakhs. So I had enough money with me, and I was determined I will not ask.
My experience with another party was very different.
Yes, sir.
Because so much money being offered.
Yeah.
And if you have a conscience, it will be very difficult for you to face those people afterwards when you are not able to do much for them. Anyway, this is
my advantage, sir, was that because I was Kottayam collector and I'm from here, and because of my mass contact program and the literacy program and all that, I was out in the villages with people all the time. So they still remembered me very well, with a lot of affection in their hearts. So it was pretty easy to win the election without really having to spend any money.
The reality has changed. Now, reality has changed.
Yeah, it has changed a lot. In fact, when I was contesting in Kajirapalli this time again for the assembly, and I contested in Cochin, I realized that things have changed dramatically from 2006 for much worse actually. Yeah. So yes, things do change. But I think, sir, we have a great advantage because I was a collector there. I'm from there, and I was very close to people when I was a collector.
And that is a traditional kind of elections. But after Jayalalitha and others changed the world, money comes in into your box and things like that. So that is what frightened me, honestly, that this is something that we cannot handle. But anyway.
We decided, sir, 2 things initially. We said we will not give 1 rupee to anybody in money. We will not give even 1 drop of liquor to anybody. So we had decided on, me and the left front had decided on these basic things right in the beginning itself. Yeah.
You're lucky that you are.
Sir, but I also had a problem because, all of my friends told me you're going to lose your security deposit, you will lose badly. But when the results came, massive surprise. But I was pretty confident I would win. I don't know.
No. This is the traditional kind of politics in the sense that you are a popular person, you know the people, and then there is no money. But most of the time, people or strangers come and contest. Who knew Mr. A or B or C? It was either money or ideology.
So this time, exactly. So this time, actually, I contested the same constituency after 15 years, and I lost. And mine was not even a very close fight. I lost, I would say, pretty badly. I don't want to discuss the reasons here because, that is, it will be embarrassing for some people because money was not a problem. Nothing was a problem. It is the politics of let's say, communalism, whole lot of things. I don't want to go into details.
For BJP, so that's the difference. Anyway, so that's what I'm coming to. How did you get attracted to the BJP? Was it because you felt that as a minority member, you have an opportunity that this party does not have too many Christians and therefore you may be welcome? Is that how it is? Or they found you and suggested?
Sir, this whole question of minority has never been in my thought process all my life. As an IAS officer, as a social worker, never. I've never taken advantage of being a minority or anything. No, I don't want really to be known as a minority because Syrian Christians in Kerala really are not a minority if you take the kind of power which they enjoy. So why should it be? In India, of course, yes. But the whole idea of saying I'm a minority, so give me something, I think that is absolutely vulgar. It's absolutely repulsive.
But there was a void in the BJP because it is a majority community organization as it happened. And they had the need to expand it, bring in more people. So that kind of an idea, was it that attracted you to it? That's what I'm asking.
So I tell you what, my joining the BJP was only to do with Mr. Narendra Modi, because the private secretary to Narendra Modi was my batchmate Kailash Nathan from Kerala, Kailash from Trichy. So in fact, he was my good friend. So he invited me a couple of times to Gujarat and said, "Alphonse, why don't you just come and see what's happening in Gujarat?" So I went there. and I saw the kind of miracles that Chief Minister Narendra Modi had done. I traveled extensively actually when I went there. Went out to the villages, went out to the ports, and I saw beautiful roads, 4-lane, 6-lane roads, developing ports, developing industry, things happening very quickly. And I said, that's the kind of thing that must happen in the country, also in Kerala, of course. And therefore, I want to support this man so that he can become the Prime Minister of India, whatever little I can contribute. I'm not a big time politician or something. So that's when I got the invite from the BJP National President, Mr. Gadkari was the president. So he called me up and said, Alphonse, why don't you join the party? And everybody said, don't join, because this was in 2011. I was nominated on the 16th of March 2011. I was nominated by the Left Front. I was the first person to be nominated, the only person to be nominated on the first day to the assembly elections again. And in the afternoon, I had a press conference and said, sorry, I'm not contesting. I'm resigning from the assembly. And everybody said, you are an idiot, because now is your chance to become a minister. First, of course, being a first-time MLA, I did not become a minister. This is certainly you're going to be a minister. And therefore, don't do it. And in fact, I have a very, very close relationship with Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan. In fact, he's the one who brought me gave me the seat in Kajirapalli in just 10 seconds. So when I went and met him, he said, Alphonse, Mr. MABB had told him that I would like to contest. So he said, you want to contest? I said, yes, if you give me the seat. And it was over in 10 minutes. I didn't have to carry anybody's suitcase or, hang around somebody's outside somebody's bungalow. So Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan rang me up and said, Alphonse, just heard your press conference saying you are quitting and you don't want to contest. Please don't do that, because we are fond of you. And I said, sir, yeah, I am also very happy in the assembly, the support which party gave me. They gave me plenty of money, actually. They gave me the Left Front gave me the largest amount of money for my constituency, 350 crores. And we also had done things. So he said, Alphonse, don't leave. Whatever you want, positions, everything will be given. I said, sir, no, I want Modi ji to become the Prime Minister, and I want food on every table in this country. I want every kid to go and have education. I want healthcare for everybody. And I said, only Narendra Modi can do it. And therefore, I'm joining the BJP, not because I don't like the Left Front. So he said, okay, that is your objective, then go ahead. So I'm possibly the only one who left the Left Front without any animosity. Yeah. So I worked, sir, in the party for the next 6.5 years as member of the National Executive. I was in the good governance cell of the BJP, toiling away. And I didn't see anything happening. 2014, the election came. The ministry was formed, and I was nowhere. I was still a small little cog in the organization of co-convener of the good governance cell. And of course, in 2017, when I was traveling to Kerala for a speech for the Art of Living in Calicut, I was caught at Bangalore airport and told to come back to discuss something with the Prime Minister urgently. I came, of course, I had to return. And then, of course, I got a call in the evening from the Honorable Prime Minister saying, you are taking oath as a minister next day. So that's how it happened, actually.
Well, and then what was your experience?
So then in the Modi government, it's very clear. You as a minister, you have to really run your ministry, have no controversies, deliver things, because the Prime Minister is such a workaholic. I mean, you'd be surprised. I think there are many Prime Ministers who come and address meetings, leave in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. This Prime Minister stays in that meeting for the next 3 hours. He studies things and comes, makes an intervention every 2 minutes, contributes ideas. So he was a very, very, very hands-on Prime Minister, very detailed Prime Minister. And so he expects every minister to be very professional, to be very punctual, not fool around inaugurating things, and to be delivering. So over the next 18 months when I was a minister, I mean, I think I had to operate with very little money, that like 2,000 crores only for its entire budget allocation. We had to create tourism for the whole country. And I believe India is the best tourism destination, but we were not getting enough people. We are just getting about only 10 million foreign tourists, while I thought we should have something like 50 million foreign tourists coming to India. And the domestic tourism also need to go up dramatically. So we worked very hard. I must have been sleeping about 3 to 4 hours every day, sleeping in airport, marketing India abroad, selling India all over, all across. I visited the northeastern states many times. So, sir, in 2019, as per the Global Travel and Tourism, International Travel and Tourism Council report, India came to the third position in tourism with an aggregate revenue of $234 billion, not million, $billion, employing 81 million people. So we did pretty good. But that was a very exciting area. So one of the things which I really did when I became minister was I told my friends in the ministry, my secretaries and the other people, Mr. Suman was my joint secretary, my only joint secretary, Suman Billa. I told them, look here, we run a very friendly ministry. Don't send me stupid files. I don't want to see transfers. I don't want to see files with monetary implications. All those things you look after. Wherever there is any file in which I can contribute positively in terms of creativity, send me those files. So those are the files in which I really spend a lot of time. Take for example, so we make movie each promotional, and each of those 1 minute movies, I must have spent about 15 to 20 hours sitting with the secretary, joint secretary, and the creative people, every comma, every frame analyzing. And so all the five of those on yoga, Ayurveda, on culinary art, on luxury and heritage, all of them won the golden award in all the international festivals, all of them. So these are areas where we thought we could really be creative and where the minister could. So, and another thing, sir, I met every person who came to meet me. I took every mobile call which came to me, because right from the beginning when mobiles were there, I said, I will attend every call personally. My phone will not be with my private secretary or with my PA, because to get across to a minister today is impossible. Even to get across to a private secretary to a minister is impossible. I said, no, I will reply every call. So what I did, sir, was after every calls, then take down the messages which came to me and to do those things and get back to people. So these are some of the things which we did. And every person who came to see me, with, of course, there were objections from some powers saying, Alphonse, you shouldn't be meeting people who come without an appointment, because all of them come and take selfie with you and then they post a abusive message against the prime minister and against the government. I said, sir, I can't help it. This is the way I have been meeting everybody from the time I was an IAS officer. I can't change my DNA. I have to meet everybody, talk to everybody.
Perspective of a minister, how did you see the bureaucracy, the IAS, from the other way around?
That's right.
You may know that these people are not really qualified, etc. etc. And the people may also, in your case, of course, since you are an IAS officer, that danger is not there. They know you know things. But how did you look at the bureaucracy?
Sir, I had an excellent relationship with the bureaucracy, because my position has always been that if you empower people, they will deliver. If you don't empower, they will not deliver. Like from the time I had two sub-collectors when I was Kottayam collector, I told them, look here, please do not call me unnecessarily. I said, every time you call me, I'll put a red mark against you. Run your empire, run your kingdom, you learn your job, you might make mistakes, but I'm going to give you astoundingly outstanding CRs. Don't worry about the CR. So I told my officers in the ministry, look here, just do your job, be creative, be different. I want something new, a ministry which is alive and kicking, and where people will say, wow, things are happening, good things are happening. So that's the kind of thing which we projected. Of course, we used to have endless coffees with the officers, and we used to stay very late in the evening. One of the things, sir, with me was punctuality. Like in 40 years in my life, I don't turn up for a function or any event or in my office even 2 minutes late. So 9 o'clock in the office, so I'm there at 8:55. I expect everybody to be there. But in the evening, I tell officers beyond 7 o'clock, if I don't tell you in advance, 7:30, you don't have to stay. It is for my time to sit down and study things, apply my creative mind. So I would leave office very late. And on Saturdays and Sundays, Saturday, of course, officers also used to come, even though it was a holiday, whenever we had to do these creative things. But Sundays, of course, officers wouldn't come. I'd drive myself. Once what happened was I was in my...
What I'm asking is, was there any structural deficiency in our bureaucracy which you could see as a minister? Because you are the representative of the people. You want things done in an idealistic manner. And was the bureaucracy a hindrance to you in any way?
No, sir, no. My bureaucracy, because I empowered them, I gave them the power to take decisions. And I told them, you are the experts. You guys are really very good. So I trust you guys. So They really went out of the way. So I can tell you that somebody like Suman Bila was so exceptional. I mean, I would really rate him as possibly one of the best officers that ever has been in the civil service. So was my secretary. Down the line, I think everybody responded so very well. I think, sir, if we empower people and the moment the political executive trusts the bureaucracy, I think that's where they would deliver. And of course, one of the message down the line was very clear because we have field officers also saying that if you ever take money, of course, we will we will butcher you. My word was, I'll kill you. I mean, of course, a lot of people believe when I say I'll kill you and all that, but then that's what happened when I was commissioner at DDA. I said, you encroach 1 inch of my land, I will shoot you. So with that kind of, so you don't really have to say many things, sir. I mean, people fall in line and they know how to deliver once they are involved. So I had an extremely friendly relationship. They used to come to my house. I used to go to their rooms and have coffee with the officers. So we had a very friendly atmosphere. So one of the things which I have a problem with the bureaucracy today is I think decisions very often are not taken at the level in which it is to be taken. How many joint secretaries really write an original note? I seriously doubt. I think they just, a lot of them just put their Adobe mark, the signature and the seal. I think the contribution in terms of actual inputs, creative thing, that's why the all India services are created. That kind of an input coming from joint secretaries onwards, I don't know in how many ministries it is happening, sir. I mean, this also happens at the state level.
I work with the Foreign Secretary, Jagat Mehta. Every file which he signs, he will give at least 4 lines of explanation, sometimes 3 pages. I mean, I've never seen a foreign secretary like that. You would wonder how he found the time for it. Of course, I had to sit and correct it and reproduce it, etc., etc. But that is the old tradition. You don't sign anything. Even Panditji's notes, how many things he could have just signed it off. But he would say, this is the reason why I'm signing. You know, give an added reason to support the case. But that, I suppose, now we have become a Adobe marking officer. In any case, there's nothing to say, so it's okay. And so that attitude is the earlier period where Prime Minister was seeing your notes, and that was very impactful on the people on the bureaucracy. But how was your relation with the left when you were a minister in the center?
So I had excellent relationship. In fact, my people in Delhi were hugely surprised when I became a minister. The chief minister called me and congratulated me, and he said, "I'm come to Delhi to host a lunch for you." So he came to Delhi and hosted a lunch, and of course, which created again a whole lot of heartburn in my party, saying, "How can you in the BJP, our enemy is a communist party? How can you be friends with Pinarayi?" I said, "Look here, politics has to be very bipartisan. You don't really have to carry your enmity to to your personal relationship. Even today, I can pick it."
But here also, when you are in one coalition, since because I worked with the government for 4 years, the idea is that when you are in power, keep everybody else out. You know, if I suggest someone who is good but progressive in inverted commas, the name would be cut. And then I was told, see, when they come, they will not take any of us. So this is our opportunity to cut everybody else and put our people there. That is a culture here. I was astonished. So then how do you work? And so you are working in entirely 2 compartments. These groups, even PAs had to be changed. I did not change my PA. Everybody asked me, why are you keeping? She was appointed by Mr. Dr. Panikkar. He was leftist. So you must. She herself was ready to be thrown out any moment. So, and that the politicization has come to that extent. So that's why I asked you whether even having been with them earlier, did they treat you with consideration, respect, etc. That's what I'm asking.
So they're treated with a lot of respect. In fact, the chief minister said the whole proceeding, saying, "Well, giving me that
Kerala
that."
has a role in tourism.
This is when I was tourism minister. He gave me a lunch in Kerala House, which was much publicized, and so that I think that was a very good gesture. So anytime I came to Trivandrum, I called on the chief minister, took up issues which Kerala had. So very often, sir, I took up issues with which Kerala government had with the center. Take for example the entire clearance for Kannur Airport. Nobody knows. I must have met on Chief Minister's request. I must have met the Civil Aviation Minister, Prabhu Suresh Prabhuji, at least 25 times. Just not meet. sitting with all the officers. What are the problems with the DGCA? What are the other problems? I got this entire thing cleared, the Kannur airport, but nobody knows it. In fact, for the inauguration, they didn't even invite me. So yeah, Calicut Airport, we gave, I think, spent about 200 crores on the expansion. And I got all the clearances for landing the wide-bodied aircraft there and all the permissions.
Politicization is so deep in Kerala that cooperative relationships are very difficult.
Anyways, I didn't care really. So finally, Suresh Prabhuji said, "I'm not going unless you go for the you're coming for the inauguration." Then the chief minister tried to call me and persuade. I said, "No, it's okay. My job is to get things done. I don't want to be on the stage there. Anyway, the senior cabinet minister is coming, so I'm not coming." But the point, sir, is what you're saying is true. I mean, there has to be bipartisanship. There has to be leadership. Nobody in politics is an enemy. Nobody is an enemy, really. You know, we all work together with different ideologies for the same objective. Some are more successful, some are less successful. I think we got to just live with that fact, you know.
And look at my experience of having done a lot.
I know, sir. You are.
Now government is implementing them, but they have never asked me, we are implementing your suggestions. Any help you can give? No.
They won't do it, sir, because they know that these are sensible ideas which you had come up with those days. These have to be done, but then they don't want to give you credit for that. So obviously they will not consult you.
but I'm talking about the system. I was very irritated by this at that time.
Yes, sir. Because I mean, yeah, it's very sad. You see, even say in the parliament, you can see, one thing good is, the central hall in the parliament. We fight each other. Like you see, I'm a very, very aggressive speaker in the parliament. I'm not like this. I'm very aggressive. I have my data. I speak out and I punch, give a huge political punch without being abusive. But we all come out, go to the central hall, have a coffee together, have a hug together, and that's how things happen. Like
I was coming to that because as a parliamentarian, you are exceptionally successful. I have heard many of your speeches. You study matters, put it across very rationally, without any political rancor, etc. So I was just going to ask you what your experience as a parliamentarian was.
So it was a great experience. In fact, frankly speaking, sir, I enjoyed much more being a member of parliament than being a minister. Being a minister, there was, you had to deliver. I mean, I guess I'm pretty good at delivering things, but at the same time, you didn't have the freedom. Now, take for example, sir, as tourism minister, I could not reply in the RAJYASABHA even once because every time when my day came for answering the question answers, the parliament was on strike. I did not open my mouth to answer a single question in my own house for 1.5 years. It's crazy. So, but as a member of parliament, I could intervene every day. Like, once the chairman asked me when the question hour starts in the morning after 0 hour, my hand is perpetually raised for the supplementary. So one day the chairman, Mr. Venkariya, going to ask me, "Alphonse, can you put down your hand for 5 minutes at least during the 1 hour?" I said, "Sir, yes, I will do it provided you give me the supplementary. The moment you give it to me." So it was fun. So you have to be aggressive in parliament.
No, but then the question arises, why did you not continue as minister? What was the reason why you're not?
I have no idea.
If you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. But
no, I can talk about it, sir. I have not asked the prime minister. In fact, I didn't meet the prime minister 6 months after I demitted office. I didn't want to ask him or anybody in the party.
No explanation was offered.
No explanation was offered. I didn't ever ask for an explanation, never raised it actually. So my position is this. I come from a village. I'm son of a school teacher. I studied in a Malayalam medium school without electricity. I scored 42% in my 10 board examination. From there, I was one of the toppers in the IAS. I think I was the only civil servant in the Time magazine's cover story of 100 young global leaders. I became an MLA. I became a minister. Sir, and I became an MP, and I got so much in my life, sir. So I thought I had got plenty. I have no reason to complain at all. I should be thankful to God.
You must have been embarrassed, weren't you? Honestly.
Not really, sir. When the ministers' names were announced that day, I don't remember the date. Yes, for about half an hour, yes, I was a little agitated. My whole family was there.
So well, since you have done so well, and therefore,
yeah, I was a little agitated internally. Of course, I never expressed it. I said it's a privilege of the prime minister to choose ministers. You see, there are so many things, so many factors to be taken into consideration while choosing ministers. Of course, competency is one. Secondly, caste formula. So with something like what, 30,000 castes, or I don't even know how many castes in India, caste formulations, your majority, minority, your vote banks, I mean, important seniority in the parties, all these things have to be taken into consideration by the Honorable Prime Minister. So if I'm saying, no, I'm competent and therefore I have to be there, so no, sir, I think there are many, many factors which the Honorable Prime Minister has to take into account. And I'm extremely happy that I got this opportunity. It was a short tenure, of course, 1.5 years only. It was actually when the curtains were down for the elections, run up to the elections, that I became a minister. I did whatever I could, and I'm very grateful to God and to people and to the Honorable Prime Minister for the opportunities which I got, and I'm extremely happy.
Well, that's the way to take it. But certainly, these are the kinds of things that you have no explanation for. And naturally, promotions are also like that. Maybe you never expected to be a minister in the first place.
Yes, sir.
So you fulfilled a role, and the curtain falls sometime or the other, I suppose. And
Yes, I
anyway,
think so. We just got to be grateful for all the great things that happens in our life. I mean, how could it be that I got into IAS? How could I get to become an MLA in 32 days? How could I become a minister?
all of us, we are all from that kind of background.
Yeah, and so much to be
We have
grateful
broken
for.
the
So much to
glass
be
ceiling
grateful for.
already. There is no more glass ceiling to be broken, as far as we are. So, no, that is the helpful height. So coming to we are running out of time. Uh, Tell us something about, because you have a book on Mr. Modi. What do you think are his strong points? Of course, people keep analyzing it all the time. I myself wrote a whole book on his foreign policy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I like his whole approach to foreign policy. The first term, I think, he was extremely successful, and the second term, of course, because of all these, cataclysmic changes and all that. What is his main strength?
I think, sir, it's a clarity of thought, determination. He is decided that he wants to go down in history as a prime minister who made a massive change, transformed India. Very clear. I mean, Jawaharlal Nehru wanted that kind of a stature in the international, committee of politics nations. But here is a man who says, "I want to change the way the world looks at India and what things are happening here." So, starting with, of course, your Swachh Bharat, where 10.5 crore toilets were constructed in a record time, no delays. No country in the world has done it. Now providing pipe to drinking water. Now already 8.5 crore families are being provided. By 2024. Everybody gets it. The kind of healthcare that is being created is just incredible. Not only the vaccines that have been administered, the physical infrastructure of healthcare that is being created, the housing that is being built, nearly 2.75 crore houses that are being built, and things coming up on time. Something like 8 crore LPG connections being given. I think, sir, if you take the field, I mean, we are short of time, so I'm not going to explain. This man has a singular distinction of being completely determined, business-like, and make sure that things are delivered. So this is the Modi, the Modi, what you call phenomenon, what I can call the singular determination to get things done, and the ability to work hard and make others also work hard to get to that. I think that is the most significant change that I see in this prime minister.
But internationally, aren't we at a disadvantage at this stage? Basically, because of the so-called 50-50 democracy and 70-30 democracy, etc. And that has affected our image internationally. Is he trying to do something about it?
Sir, I mean, you know much better about international relations and where India stands, but I think India's stature has gone up considerably. If you look at the way the US to Russia to anybody else, France and the European nations and the Arab nations are treating India, I think it's made a dramatic change. India is in the center stage. Are we in the center stage yet on the economy portion? Yes, we are now the fifth largest or sixth largest economy in the world, and of course, by 2035 we should be the third largest economy in the world. So India is growing. India is the fastest growing large economy. If you say, how does India compare with China? Yes, we have a lot to catch up. China is 5 times more, and per capita income of India is still below $2,000 per capita. So we still have to do a lot of catching up. And according to me, it's not enough that we grow at 7%. This year we should be growing at 7.5%. We need to go something like 15 to 20% if we have the chance to catch up with a whole lot of other countries and to have a dignified life for our people. But I think, sir, we are moving. We need to change. We need to grow much faster. We are growing. growing, but then we need to grow much faster to catch
The
up with the
global
other.
challenge is much bigger now because it is a normal world at all. One world order has changed, completely finished. The new one is not born. You know that. We are
Yes.
between two world orders. One is almost over, multilateral, United Nations. Those kind of things are almost dead because those people who build it have already denounced them. And there is an alternative as yet. So the operability of individual governments in this situation are very limited. And that is what you see in today. The first term, it was not like that. India had a position and there was a fairly well-organized structure. That structure is not there today. That is why we are not able to even talk about the Chinese, continued occupation. We are trying to quietly resolve it. Our position with Russia is not, we try to maintain it at a level. Americans are not too happy with us. Nobody is now willing to support anybody. That's the kind of stage. Everybody is keeping its options open. And that is the reason why I think we are entering a very difficult phase in our foreign relations. And Mr. Modi is the only one who can really handle this kind of a difficult situation. But is
in the
it
past,
not visible?
in the past 2 years, I think the world has become completely ultra complicated.
Absolutely.
With the Ukraine war, I mean, Ukraine war, things have gone completely upside down. The world has gone upside down. It's not a war between.
Pandemic changed it already. 9/11 changed it. Pandemic changed it. So how many changes can this poor world take on?
And I think, sir, with the Ukraine invasion, when even things are turned topsy-turvy, I think India has managed to space itself in some way in that position, close to the US, dealing with Russia, because still 69% of our defense.
We have managed it, but
Yes.
but certainly our Western friends are not too happy with it,
Sir, they can't be happy, sir. We can't be defining India the way the Western
So when
nations
you
want us
have
to do.
China and Russia joining together,
So, the biggest danger to me exactly is what you said. Our biggest enemy and our only enemy is China. And today, the closest friend
Russia
of China is Russia. So, how far do we depend on Russia for our equipments? So, these are some of the things which are extremely complicated.
Don't we have to be careful with the West?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Can I talk a couple of minutes about Parliament functioning of Parliament?
Sure.
Sir, if it's okay? Yeah, see, one of the things is the problem is I'm 100% attendance in Parliament. 100%. Except when I missed a few days for Kanjapalli elections, assembly elections, and Ernakulam elections when I was a candidate, I have 100% attendance. I have also 100% attendance in my Parliament committees, which is External Affairs and also Consultative Committee of the Defence Ministry. So, from the day I came into the Parliament and took oath, I said I'm going to be here not from 11 o'clock, but from 10:45. I come to the Parliament. I go and shake hands with everybody that way, this way, every person, every day. That's what I do. And I stay till the house is over at 6 o'clock. I stay. Now, we have so much opportunities as a member of Parliament to be really speaking. And I completely hate this process of disruption of Parliament by people. I think the biggest weapon for an MP, member of Parliament, is use the mic, take on the government, rip us apart if we are doing wrong, and put your point of view. But sir, this is where, since you are some audience from Kerala is also in this, I see that many of the Kerala MPs are very disruptive. They come to the Parliament every day with a banner, and some of them are not even.
They are not in opposition. So.
Yes, no, but sir, even see, many of them come to disrupt only the Parliament, which is completely wrong. Even people who are capable of making good speeches in Parliament haven't spoken a word in 3 years. I don't want to name people. How many Kerala MPs, apart from 2 or 3, are speaking in Parliament properly? Of course, one person only tries to use very pompous words and teaches you the thesaurus dictionary without much of a substance. But even the other people, sir, even there was one person MP was sent to Parliament basically to put chains around Modi. He didn't even open his mouth, and he came back to Kerala in the last assembly elections. And some of the people who can speak don't speak at all. How many people have raised 0-hour submissions, spoken well? How many? How many have raised a short duration discussion? How many have spoken in the Parliament with substance? So if you take my speeches, sir, I don't refer to any paper at all, because if you are going to read out, nobody's going to listen in the parliament. They will just close your eyes. If you're going to have a notepad in your hand, nobody's going to listen to you unless you look into the eyes of people. I don't use a mic at all in parliament. All my speeches have at least 50 numbers in each of my speeches. I don't look at any paper. I study them all by heart the previous day, do my own research. I come prepared. And all the speeches are, of course, a stumble. Sir, Parliament is such a huge weapon for use by members of Parliament. But unfortunately, I should say that most of the Kerala MPs are not really using the great opportunities.
Premachandran is an exception.
Premachandran is an exception. He's an exception. Some of the left MPs like Alamar and Karim. Now John Buttas is coming. Buttas, I mean, they all are very, very active. And Mr. Vishwam, who was minister earlier, he's active. They don't get too many opportunities. So as a ruling party MP, of course, I get much more opportunities. I can make long speeches. And most of the time I've spoken on the economy. I think I was the only one speaking on the economy from my party in the RAJYASABHA or even the Lok Sabha. So
but it's a problem of communication for Malayalis everywhere. Civil service is the same situation. Many people don't get because they don't know the subject, but they cannot articulate it. And that is the problem. How many MPs can speak Hindi or English properly? That is the problem.
I think this is where it is. You see, in Delhi, members of parliament have a very easy time. They have all the time in the world to sit down on their computers or on their mobile and research. I do everything, all my research myself on my mobile phone actually. So therefore, if you want to do hard work and really, it's just not about figures being talked about in the house. I blot out at least 25 to 50 figures in each of my speeches. Deliver the political punch without being offensive. I think all this is so important. You need to put your heart and soul into it. I think that's why I say I greatly enjoyed being a member of parliament, much more than being a minister.
Well, how about 2024? What are your predictions?
So I think Modi is going to walk through through again very easily. See, so it's very simple. As long as the family is there, in control, the family, I think we don't have a problem at all. I think they are the best bet. May they continue the family, let them continue to govern over the party for a long time. So the thing is, our party people study, we deliver. They don't study. Young people who got power because they come from a certain family, they don't bother to read even 2 pages. Even when the budget speech is going on, the young man is talking to somebody else, doesn't listen to one word. When the president's address is going on, doesn't listen to anything, he's talking to somebody else, doesn't read. So, it's such a great opportunity. You come from such a lineage, you have the opportunity to study. It's so simple. If you spend half an hour every day to study, doesn't happen. So we are back in 2024, but of course, I re-emphasize, we need to grow much faster. We need to deliver. We have eliminated corruption from Delhi. Now that process has to continue, right?
What should BJP do in Kerala to gain any foothold? What is your prescription?
So my perception is I tried my best. I mean, I strongly believe I could have won the elections in Kanjirapalli, though not the parliament elections at Nagalam. I stood no chance because out of 14.5 lakh votes, my party had got only less than 1 lakh votes in the previous election 2014. From there, I took it up to 1,40,000, which is not too bad, 40% increase. I stood no chance of winning at all because of the religious combinations. But Kanjirapalli, I believe I could have won easily. I don't want to go into the reasons because I think it's all hugely communal, the way the voting happened. Very communal. It's extremely sad. Anyway.
But there is this push being made now to, come into Kerala, come into other southern states.
Kerala needs a strong leadership, stronger leadership.
We tend to believe that this is something is happening in Delhi. It doesn't matter to us. That kind of attitude people have. Perhaps.
Yes, again, sir, see, Malayali being Malayali, his attitude is opposed. 90% last assembly election, we got only 11.27% of votes. And the rest 89% people just blindly oppose. They are not willing to accept that Modi has done things. When I tell them the figures in the television debate, nobody has the guts to take on your numbers on television debate. They're not willing to. the kind of massive changes that is taking place in the Indian economy. Even take, for example, something like MSP, agriculture products being acquired. So we've spent more than 100% over what they gave us as MSP in terms of total money. In terms of percentage, we paid something like 50% more than in 2014. We've done extremely well. But these people in debate in Kerala, people are not willing to open their minds at all to Modi. I mean, they don't like the BJP. So the problem is, even though I was a pretty popular person in Kerala before I joined the BJP, I think I was, because I'm in the BJP, things are so difficult. Like even when I went and slept in a flood relief camp, I slept there for 2 weeks. People made fun of me because I belong to the BJP. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Alphonse. It has been a very delightful conversation.
Thank you, sir. It's such a pleasure to talk to you, sir. I learned so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.